that though. That's why Sue's avoiding meetings.
Hi, how are you?
I was wondering. On the 23rd. And she should be done. Sneaky, sneaky. Very sneaky. I know, if it's not one thing, it's another.
It's just, I feel like I just stay behind.
You never know on 90.
And everything I
Make it or not, and you always don't want.
Oh, I was saying, you have it, you want me to go run up?
No, I do, I have.
Which one did you,
What other one do you
I
take?
come up to
I know,
Highway
there's
10
no,
to
no, you gotta get
35E.
under.
Yeah, and then they have some construction.
right here, I was gonna use this.
Yeah, you can do
My other thought
Yeah,
was
I
to
was
go
thinking-
north on 390 or 494
You
up and
came
around.
in, have still been in?
See if I find there's anything.
all under there, all, you know, like a toddler.
City right now.
Very dignified.
I tried going to downtown on.
It took my time, so now I'm not
I know,
organized.
And I found out my access to 94 there was shut too, so it just didn't go.
Leslie, I can do that for you.
All I know is I hear that in July we meet. Yay!
Stubborn. She chuckles. It's true.
We have one more after this, which I might not be able to get to because one of my students
Sam
is
was
opening
calling
their
to say
first
they were just
water
making sure this was my
treatment
phone number before the chair called.
Corcoran. You know, that new development, they're finally
Okay, and then
got phase and everything.
she didn't call, so I sent her a text saying,
Yeah, it is. They're
I'm in the
pretty
building,
excited.
go upstairs,
They're
but
excited
also
for
we're
their
starting
development.
They were
transportation
started
committee
with,
right now.
right now.
So, I don't know, if the chair calls, I might step
Yeah,
out if
okay.
I'm not like actively out.
Yeah, no worries.
Or, you know, hopefully they can just.
So I texted her that and she said, okay.
I've been traveling hard in rural parts of Minnesota all weekend since Wednesday. I went up north.
And we had no one sign up.
No, and that's why I was checking if I got a last minute calls while I was running around. Let's see.
To talk to the Minnesota. Yeah, some of my pickleball friends, one of them has a lake home.
Oh,
Nice.
yeah, no,
Good.
I know I have it, I'll write it right now.
I had
Acting up.
Yeah, right.
I had a
They say they're going to their cabin and you think it's,
Yeah.
let's see, you need to get there and that's like.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I never heard back.
Oh, that's cool.
First, is that still good? Okay, there's the movie.
Committee meeting for June 9th, 2025. You'll note on our agenda the Dakota Land, Water, and People Acknowledgement that acknowledges our commitments to the tribal nations within the metropolitan region. First order of business this evening is approval of the agenda. If there's no changes or additions, we can proceed. Seeing none, the agenda is adopted. We're on to approval of the May 12th meeting minutes. Were there any changes or additions? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes.
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Tony Carter, seconded by Councilmember Osman. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay, and the minutes are adopted. On to reports. We're first going to turn to MTS Services Director Carlson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, council members. Just one quick note that the state legislature is in a special session. That's a short special session that began today. When their work is completed and signed into law, Government Affairs Director Judge Shetman will provide an update to the council on progress, but we've been monitoring that because there are many provisions that affect our services. So just a quick note in that regard, and I'd be happy to answer any questions on the MTS items.
Perfect. Questions or comments? I think there's 7 things they're covering today, and we're number 7.
think
So-
By 7 a.m. tomorrow is when
Wee
they're
hours
supposed to be
of
done.
the evening, or early morning. All right, on to Metro Transit General Manager Candace.
Thank you, Chair Barber, council members. First, I wanted to start on a sad note and just acknowledge the fatal incident we had on the Blue Line last night. As we shared with you and as we've shared with the media as well, we did have a fatal collision between someone on a bicycle and a northbound Blue Line train. It's an active investigation, so we don't have more information we can share at this time, but obviously our hearts go to that person's loved ones, and also with our own employees who are part of responding to really tragic incidents like that. So wanted to just note that since that did happen last night. And it's always very hard to transition after talking about an incident like that, but I do want to do a hard, inelegant transition to positive news, which is June 14th is a really big day for Metro Transit. We're launching the B line on Saturday. That's part of our broader quarterly service changes. When those changes are in effect, we'll have implemented about 23% of our Network Now identified service improvements. So very much looking forward to Saturday. I believe you have information about all the events happening this weekend, but it starts with a Friday retirement party for Route 21, 3 p.m. at our Nicollet Garage. If you're interested, you're more than welcome to attend. And then Saturday, there'll be a 10 a.m. ribbon cutting ceremony at Union Depot. And then starting at 11, there'll be community celebrations both at Union Depot and Chicago Lake by the Midtown Global Market. Midtown Global Market is sponsoring free rides on Metro B line on Saturday as well. So hope to see you out there. Certainly if you need more information about any of those events, let me know. Otherwise, I would stand for any questions.
Good, thank you. Questions or comments? Tina, thank you. We do not have a TAC report tonight, so we will move on to consent business. There's 2 items on consent, so I'd entertain a motion to approve the items on consent.
Motion to approve.
Moved by Councilmember Chambliss. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Tyrone Carter. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Now we're on to non-consent business. The first item is business item 2025-107, which is a joint committee item. It's the second quarter budget amendment. We have Ed Petrie and Heather Giesel here.
Good afternoon, Chair, committee members. Ed Petrie, Director of Finance, Metro Transit.
Good afternoon, Chair, committee members. I'm Heather Giesel, Director of Finance and Administration for MTS and CD.
And we are here this evening to present 2025-107 JT. It's our second quarter budget amendment. I will go through the information on Metro Transit. I have a number of projects I'll talk about the operating side, take questions, then turn it over to Heather. The amendment for Metro Transit encompasses approximately 45 projects on the capital side that were all included in the council adopted CIP that was adopted back in December. Funding has now become available, so we're going to move those projects forward in this amendment. On the capital side, some of the big projects are, first of all, we have the Green Line Extension, the LRT. We're recognizing just over $90 million in Hennepin County funds per their grant agreement with the council for ongoing building expenses. And we're also recognizing $50 million in 5307 funds for the council's commitment for the ongoing construction. If you recall, as part of the cost increase of the project, the council committed to committing $150 million of 5307 funds. This will be the second installment of that $150 million commitment. It's for $50 million. We also then have $4 million for the bus maintenance program. We have a lot of state of good repair projects. We have $8.3 million for the LRT Blue Enhancement State of Good Repair Project Phase 3, $2.5 million for some soil stabilization projects at the East Metro Garage. We have $3 million for support facility door replacements, $1.2 million for hoist replacements. We have $21 million for the LRT Blue Lake Street station renovations, and then a number of very smaller projects include like ADA bus stop improvements, the bus mobile lift replacements. We have some electrical switchgear replacements, major improvements to support facilities, some public facilities capital improvements, and support and transit information vehicles. So the total for Metro Transit on the capital side is an adjustment of $199.4 million for all these 45 projects. It includes changes in federal, state, local funds, and sales tax funds. And with the third quarter minimum, when that is brought forward, that will then include some more federal funds because we just got the approval from or the authority from the FTA. So we're in the process right now of applying for a lot of our federal funds. That will come forward then in the third quarter budget amendment. So this one, other than the piece for Southwest, or excuse me, for the Southwest side, this is mainly local money that we're bringing in this evening because we're waiting for those federal grants to come in. So Madam Chair, on the capital side, I would stand for any questions before I move on to operating.
Questions, comments? All right.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. On the operating side, we have changes for bus operations, LRT and North Star for changes in the council allocated costs from regional administration. And then we also the budget also includes, the operating budget also includes updated forecasts for both motor vehicle sales tax and regional sales tax. When we adopted the budget back in December, that was based upon the November forecast. We've recently got the February forecast, which showed a motor vehicle sales tax improvement of about 1.2%, and for 2025, and a sales tax improvement of about 2.5%. So we're going to bring those funds into the 2025 operating budget. So with that, Madam Chair, committee members, I would stand for questions.
Thank you. Questions? All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So moving on to the MTS portion of the amendment. First, in the administrative adjustment section, we are repurposing existing funding that's already in the authorized capital program to complete 5 projects. 2 projects are complete, and the remaining funding has been allocated to undesignated accounts for future programming. There are administrative adjustments for a couple of STP projects, including concrete and asphalt work for Southwest Transit and IT software for MBTA. As a quick reminder, there's no formal action for you to take on the administrative adjustments tonight, but we have included them for transparency and accounting purposes. Additionally, MTS is requesting to bring into the authorized capital program approximately $5.2 million. That's for projects such as 30 sedans for Metro Mobility, local match component for an MVTA regional solicitation project, the Egan Bus Garage debt service payments, and then some transit master routers for Plymouth. There's also a $2 million match to a federal RAISE grant that was awarded to the city of Plymouth. We're also reducing funding in 3 undesignated accounts and authorizing those funds into the undesignated technology account for future programming. We have identified 6 projects totaling just over $3 million that are in the ACP that can be fully expensed and now closed. The remaining funds will be repurposed and made available for existing or future projects. I can stand for any questions on the capital side.
Okay. Questions? All right, back to you.
Okay. On the operating side, we are also making adjustments in 3 program areas for internal cost allocations from regional administration. And authorizing nearly $1.4 million in MVES revenues to be transferred from the contracted services operating budget to the capital program. This will be used for engines, transmissions, midlife rehabs, and STP projects that are ineligible for regional bond funding. And then like Metro Transit, the pass-through budget has been updated to reflect the forecasted amounts for MVEST and sales tax. Stand for any questions?
Perfect. Any questions?
Okay.
All right.
So the requested action is that the Metropolitan Council authorize the 2025 Unified Budget Amendment as indicated and in accordance with the attached tables.
Very good. All right. Is any other questions from the council members? All right, seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve business item 2025-107 JT.
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Johnson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Osman. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. And the motion carries. Now, before you can leave, I do want to let you all know that Ed is retiring at the end of the month. So, okay, July 1st. Let me correct. I will make sure we have that extra day added on. But really want to thank you for your service. Like, from the many times of when I first became a council member, sitting down to explain how all these budget numbers worked and all of that, and even the many questions that you answered from all of us. We really appreciate it. I think it's going to be very strange not having these presentations without you. So thank you for your service. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, on to our next two business items. It's 2025-141 and 142. Both have to do with transit link service and our contracts with the counties, and we have Sheila Williams here.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, committee members. I'm Sheila Williams. I work for Metropolitan Transportation Services, and I oversee the Transit Link Dial-A-Ride program. So the action I bring before you today, Madam Chair, is business item 2025-141 regarding executing a contract with Transdev North America for Transit Link services in Dakota and Washington counties. And just a little bit of a refresh, Transit Link is the council's shared ride service that operates in the 7-county metro area where fixed route is either unavailable or infrequent. The Metropolitan Transportation Services, MTS, provides Transit Link Dial-A-Ride service under contract with the private provider or private companies. These services are competitively procured using a series of multi-year contracts, which allows the opportunity for vendors to propose and operate transit service on behalf of the council. On February 6th, 2025, we issued a request for proposal, and 2 proposals were received on March 19th of this year. Both proposals were evaluated by a panel that included staff from MTS, Anoka County, MnDOT, and Scott County. Both proposals were evaluated using 4 criteria: the quality of each proposal, a proposer's qualifications and experience, a proposer's capabilities related to service delivery, and finally, price. The evaluation panel determined that Transdev is the best value for the council and for both Dakota and Washington counties, and the panel recommends award. The contract is structured to all for service adjustments, including expansion, using pre-established contract terms. So, Madam Chair, I propose that the Metropolitan Council authorize the regional administrator to negotiate and execute a contract 25P039 with Transdev North America for Transit Link services in Dakota and Washington counties in an amount not to exceed $34,518,700. And with that, Madam Chair, I'd be happy to stand for questions.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Councilmember Osman.
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a couple of questions about this contract. First one is the DPA goal set 2%. What was the actual commitment?
It was 2%. Madam Chair, Council Member, the DBE goal was 2%, and the providers and OOEO determined that that DBO goal or requirement was met by each proposer,
Okay.
Excuse me.
Thank you. Second question is, there was a 22 plan holders, and we ended up only 2 proposals. Is that some kind of a lack of competition, or it's just normal?
Madam Chair, Council Member, there were multiple plan holders, but it's kind of hard for me to speak to that. There were multiple plan holders, but only 2 proposed, so I can't definitively say as to why. And Jody Jacoby is sitting right next to me. Thank you for showing up.
Madam Chair, Councilmember Osman, every project is a little bit different, and we do receive a significant amount of interest in our projects, and plan holders could be potentially DBEs who are interested in looking at the plan set. It could be plan rooms that are taking our information and distributing it to their members. It's a very unique niche of service, and so we were very happy to get 2 very competitive proposals.
Thank you.
And if I might add just a little bit on your first question, it's a question that comes up often with some of these contracts. So a lot of times, it's because these big transit service contracts typically don't employ subs. They're actually employing people, so that changes what their percentage of DBE is, because the DBE are with subcontractors. I'm checking to make sure I had all the words right. But we get asked that question a lot, so it's a good question to ask.
Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. Any additional questions or comments? All right, seeing none, then I'd entertain a motion to approve business item 2025-141.
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Osman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Tony Carter. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. And back to you for 2025-142.
Thank you, Madam Chair, council members. I'm here to present business item 2025-142 regarding executing an intergovernmental agreement with Scott County for transit link service in Scott and Carver counties. In summary, Scott County is known, also known as SmartLink, is a designated mobility management agency for Scott and Carver counties. The county is responsible for providing a variety of mobility solutions, including overseeing transit link service in those counties. The council funds the service through an intergovernmental agreement with Scott County, and the county in turn contracts through a multi-year agreement with a private contractor. This procurement was a joint effort between the council and Scott County. And again, on February 6th of this year, a request for proposal was issued, and 2 proposals were received on March 19th. And again, both proposals were evaluated by panel members that included staff from MTS, Anoka County, MnDOT, and Scott County. And proposals were evaluated using 4 criteria: the quality of each proposal, a proposer's qualifications and experience, and a proposer's capabilities related to service delivery, and finally, price. And again, the evaluation panel determined that transit team is the best value for operations in Scott and Carver counties, and the panel recommends award. The contract is structured to all for service adjustments, including expansion, using pre-established contract terms. Scott County will administer the service for Scott and Carver County, for the Scott and Carver service areas, overseeing all day-to-day operations of the service. The county will hold the service contract and will fund all administrative expenses related to overseeing service. With that, Madam Chair, we propose that the Metropolitan Council authorize the regional administrator to negotiate and execute contract 25I-002 with Scott County for transit link service in Scott and Carver counties in an amount not to exceed $20,259,200. And with that, Madam Chair, I'll stand for questions.
Thank you. Questions or comments? All right. Seeing none, then I entertain a motion to approve business item 2025-142.
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Tony Carter. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Chambliss. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, now we're on to business item 2025-86, the same week item for the 2025 and 2027 household travel surveys. And we have Bradley Whitehead here to speak. Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm Brandon Whitehead, Senior Data Scientist with MTS Research, here presenting 2025-86SW. We're proposing an action that the Metropolitan Council authorizes the regional administrator to negotiate and execute contract 24P006 with Resource Systems Group, RSG, Inc., for consulting services for the 2025 and 2027 household surveys in an amount not to exceed $2,710,000. The TBI household survey will provide data for use by the council and others in the region for continually improving the region's travel forecast models and providing information on how, where, and why people travel in the region and track how it changes over time. The RFP was originally issued on January 9th. We received 2 proposals that were due by February 25th, and a panel of 7 reviewers reached consensus on April 21st. To ensure the study begins expediently, this action is being requested for same-week approval due to the holiday cancellation of May 26th Transportation Committee meeting. I guess with that, I'll stand for questions.
Very good, thank you. Questions or comments? Okay, Seeing none, then I entertain a motion to approve business item 2025-86. Same move.
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Johnson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Tyrone Carter. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, now we're on to business item 2025-106, which is about body-worn cameras, and we have Tammy Helgeson and Sue Higgy here. Welcome.
Madam Chair and council members, I'm Tammy Helgeson, Manager of Police Business Systems.
And I'm Sue Hauge, Deputy Chief Information Officer.
We're here today to present business item 2025-106, body-worn cameras. Police body-worn cameras are, here's the, thank you. Police body-worn cameras provide significant benefits both for law enforcement as well as the general public. For the past 5 years, Metro Transit Police Department officers and community service officers have worn body-worn cameras. We currently utilize Axon body-worn cameras. We are in the process of switching to Fleet, which is squad video camera system, and we utilize tasers. Having an integrated system allows for efficiency as well as a unified system. We have these items in our management product, which is evidence.com. Evidence.com not only houses the video, but it also allows for integration between the different systems. It allows us to share video with other law enforcement agencies, as well as submit video and all digital evidence to attorneys' offices. We also are able to redact video for the general public, as well as send secure links. Evidence collection is essential to policing. Accurate evidence and video footage serves as crucial evidence in court, as well as supporting prosecution. In addition to reading a report, investigations can actually see the context and sequence of events during incidents. They get firsthand information from interviews, including body language, as well as being able to actually see the crime scene. There's also increased transparency and accountability. Body-worn cameras provide an unbiased video record of police interactions, helping to clarify events. We also work to gain public trust. When the public knows that interactions are recorded, it can increase confidence in the police. There's also a deterrent effect. When both officers and civilians are more likely to behave when they know that the interaction is being recorded. Studies have also shown that there's reduced use of force with the use of body-worn cameras, as situations being recorded are less likely to be escalated. And there's a reduction in complaints. Departments often see a significant drop in complaints against officers when implementing body-worn cameras, as they're protected against unfounded accusations. There's some limitations to consider as well. While body-worn cameras have many benefits, they also come with challenges such as privacy concerns, data storage costs, and the need for clear policies on activation and access. We will be asking for 175 body-worn cameras.
I'm going to talk a little bit about Axon, the vendor. Axon is considered the premier vendor for body-worn cameras. They dominate the law enforcement technology market. I think of them like the Microsoft of the police technology market. And there's a reason why they're the dominant vendor in this area. Tammy talked a little bit about some of the tools that we have, but the big thing that sort of sets them apart is she talked a little bit about integration. So all the tools are integrated together. You think about the devices, the data, the workflow, it all works together. And they have a lot of other tools. They have a records management system. They have drones on cameras. They have lots of other tools as well. And this seamless integration allows agencies to capture, manage, and use data across one platform. The other thing that they do is they continually invest in ongoing R&D in the latest technologies for their products. They invest in privacy and compliance for their systems. They're designed with CJIS and HIPAA in mind, helping agencies meet legal and privacy requirements. The other thing they do is they partner with law enforcement, and they work with literally thousands of police departments across the world. All the major cities like New York, LA, Chicago use Axon cameras. The other thing they do is they have a continuous feedback loop. They evolve their products based on direct feedback from police departments all over. And so, like I talked about, the ability to tie together the device, the data, the workflow makes it the go-to choice for most of the police departments across the country.
Madam Chair, our proposed action that the Metropolitan Council authorize a regional administrator to negotiate and execute renewal contract 25P096 with Axon Enterprise Incorporated that will continue to provide body-worn cameras for officers in an amount not to exceed $2 million. We would be happy to stand for questions.
Thank you. Questions? Councilmember Chambliss, then Johnson.
Thank you, Chair. I'm not sure if I think I missed something that you stated about switching to the audio video, and I missed what you were switching from. And then I thought I heard you also secondly say something about drones on cameras. And if I heard that right, if you could elaborate on how that works.
Madam Chair? We currently have several different Axon products. We currently have the body-worn camera. We're in the process of switching to Axon Fleet, which is the cameras in the squads. So we currently have a Panasonic product. Switching to that would allow for an ecosystem where your data for prosecution is all in one location, which is a significant.
Councilmember Chambliss.
Okay, so am I hearing that there will not be like body-worn cameras on the individuals any longer? And it's just going to be on the vehicle, or are you going to do both? I just wanted to clarify that. That's why I was initially asking.
Sure. Madam Chair. The officers would still have the body-worn camera. The squad video is a separate technology that's in the cars. So for a traffic stop, when they go up to a call for service, they can utilize both. Or if somebody is in the back of the squad, the fleet cameras are in the back. So it is a completely separate system for body-worn camera. I was just mentioning it as showing a shared ecosystem.
Wonderful. Okay, and so the vehicle cameras, those are automatic, or do you have to remember to turn those on at a stop or at an incident, or how does that work?
Madam Chair? The squad cameras have settings where if the officers activate their lights, squad cameras automatically come on. Or there's also some other settings where if you activate the fleet or you activate the body-worn camera within a certain distance, they activate. And there's also technology available, so if you open the back of a squad car door, the camera comes on. So there's a lot of integrations that Axon allows if those settings are turned on.
Thanks. I know I had a lot of additional questions off of the first one, and the second one was the drones on camera process.
Madam Chair, Council Member, what I was referring to was other products that Axon has. We do not have. I talked about the records management system that they have, and they have products like cameras on drones, which we do not own.
Okay.
And all that means is, they have drones with cameras on them, and it's another tool that some police departments use, but we do not have that.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Johnson, and then Carter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So just again, so I understand, so body-worn cameras will also be switched out here?
Sure. We are looking to renew an existing contract.
Okay.
So as part of that contract, they do equipment refresh. Okay. So therefore, as we go along, we will always have the newest body-worn cameras with the greatest technology.
Okay, and that's still with Axon?
Correct.
Okay. And we've been with Axon for how long?
Sure. For 5 years.
Okay. And was that when did, Madam Chair, when did we first start using body-worn cameras? I should know.
Nope, 5 years ago.
Okay, so that was when we went through the thing. Okay, just making sure. And then, just quick question, what happens to the old technology? Is this turned back into Axon?
Madam Chair. We will currently continue using the cameras because we have the most recent version. So halfway through the contract, they do the hard camera refresh and the docking station refresh. So at halfway through the contract, you get all new equipment. So that they are turned in, and then other agencies may use the old equipment.
Okay, so Madam Chair, just getting to yeah, this is good, thank you. So that's just part of this new contract, that there will be a future, at a point in time, refresh for the body worn camera equipment?
Yes.
Okay, and so then again, our only contract we've had to this date was that 2025 or 2020 contract?
Correct.
Okay, and the number of 170, is that the authorized strength, and that's why we're using that, or are there others within the department other than sworn officers that are using this at all?
We have right now both officers and community service officers. So we selected a number that would allow us for extra cameras, but yet would be a cost savings. So the contract had 250 prior, but we are asking for less. With the community service officers, a lot of them are transitioning to become police officers. So we're trying to be fiscally responsible.
Okay, and then Madam Chair, so again, the old, or the current, what we're using currently for the next couple of years, that will be retired back into Axon, and then we'll get a refresh at the 170, is what you're saying in this contract? That's what we're deciding now?
Yep, 175, yes.
175 for 2 years approximately from now?
Yes.
And we're good with that number?
Yes.
Okay. And then I won't even, someday I'd just love to talk about drones, but not for today. I think, okay, so thank you. I just appreciate you answering those questions.
You're welcome.
I think it's really important that we have the best technology that's integrated so that every step of the process that our police officers go through, we've got the evidence to back up what we're doing, and it follows everything all the way to prosecution. So I think this is good integration, and I fully support it.
Thank you. Councilmember Tony Carter.
Thank you. Thank you also for bringing this forward and for answering our questions regarding this technology and its use in Metro Council and Metropolitan Transit Police. I was glad to see the policy that was referenced here and to be able to look into the policy, also to note that there is monitoring for compliance, that supervisors do monitor to ensure that the cameras are being worn as they should according to the policy. I did not know whether that monitoring included any viewing of the video, and just wondered to what extent there is viewing of the video, even if it is spot checking or random viewing of that video as compliance is being monitored.
Madam Chair? Yes, the supervisors do actually view the video. So we have parameters set up in the application where supervisors are randomly assigned to monitor video. So they will watch the video in its entirety, and then they will respond back if it was appropriate for activation. There's different settings that we have selected that are important, that match with state statute, and they make notes of all of them. If there's an issue, then they notify the officer and the correct person.
Great, that's wonderful to hear. May I?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, I just lost it. I'm sorry. Yikes, can I get it back? I guess I'm gonna come back when I find it. Thank you.
Okay. Additional questions? Councilmember Tyrone Cutter.
Okay, yes. Question I had was, the person is, the officer is wearing the camera, can they switch that camera off? Or does it automatically become activated under certain conditions?
Madam Chair? An officer can switch the camera off, yes. They oftentimes, if they are not near a squad, they have to turn it on and turn it off. So it is a manual process. If you're near a squad, they can be set to automatically turn on, but oftentimes our officers and community service officers may not be near the squad.
Okay, and my second question was, I was looking at the integration scenario, and you have BWC, Fleet, Taser, CAD, Evidence.com. How do they differentiate? Could you give us like brief description on each one?
So the body-worn camera and fleet are integrated with the CAD system. So when an officer goes on a call for service and either the squad video is activated or the body-worn camera, the system recognizes that they're on a call for service and it connects it with certain metadata such as either a case number or the CAD number, as well as who the officer is who owns the body-worn camera. They're assigned to the person. And then that information goes back into the ecosystem of evidence.com. Based on the call for service, if a case number is pulled, that changes the retention on the backside for how long the video is actually kept. So videos are kept in accordance with Minnesota state statute. Tasers are also connected to evidence.com. So when a taser is deployed, they are also assigned to an officer. So each person is assigned to the hardware. So if a taser is deployed, that record of exactly what happened also goes into evidence.com as well. So again, it becomes a repository and a management tool in evidence.com, as well as the integrations between CAD, body-worn camera fleet, and then taser is kind of a separate entity.
So when a taser is deployed, is there automatically a requirement that they have to turn their camera on, or does the camera sync?
They can be hooked up to where the camera automatically does go off with the tasers as well.
Okay.
That is a setting feature. Yes.
Right, additional questions, comments? Councilmember Johnson. And
Thank you,
Studo-
Madam Chair. And do I remember correctly from when I was in Plymouth that if a camera's turned on, it can actually go back in time, a certain amount of time to pick up video? I think that's an important thing too, if that's still happening. And I don't know if it was 30 seconds or 2 minutes or whatever it was, but I think that's just important if people don't know that.
Madam Chair? Yes, they are set to go back 30 seconds. They have video but no audio.
All right, Councilmember Carter.
Thank you. Now I got it back. I knew there were three. The last one was, this is a 5-year contract renewal as the first, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
All right. And on that, are there any additional costs other than the cost for the purchase of the equipment related to operation, support, or maintenance, or replacement? I know that they're going to do a refresh, but, you know, with failure.
Madam Chair? Nope, $2 million is the highest cost. It will not go over, and that will include any replacement, any body-worn cameras that are broken, any updates to the software. Everything is included in that cost.
Thank you very much.
Okay, any additional questions or comments? Councilmember Johnson?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I just want to also just make sure, so, and also equipment is checked in and checked out every day so that it's being monitored through the process and.
Yep, Madam Chair, that is correct.
Okay, thank you. All right. And any additional questions, comments? Just a couple comments real quick. Just first of all, thank you for taking the time to answer a lot of questions. It's obviously something that's very important, a piece of tools and things that we use within the police department. And clearly, there's lots of questions. We're always keenly aware of the impact of policy on it. So we appreciate taking the time. Just to comment on sort of the technology integration and just the observation I'm seeing across council. Like, you guys have really been doing a lot of this, and I think it goes maybe it's understated somehow sometimes of how important it really is, because it makes everything more efficient, more effective. You know, sometimes it might require some upfront costs, but down the road you really see sort of the paybacks. And so thank you, kind of looking at all of these different systems that we have. That this is very, very important. So thank you. Councilmember Johnson?
Just a final thank you. I agree with everything you said, Madam Chair, and I want to thank the chief for his leadership. I want to thank everybody on the team, because I really want to make sure that, and I know you do too, we all do, that our police officers, our CSOs, and everybody that's working for public safety have the tools, have the equipment, have the training, have the backing, have the confidence to do their jobs well, to protect and serve, and to make sure that we've got a seamless picture, so to speak, of the activities that they're doing out there on behalf of the region. So again, my full support, and I appreciate your leadership.
Very good. If there's no additional questions and comments, I'd entertain a motion to approve business item 2025-106.
Motion to approve?
Second.
We're going to say, who made the motion?
I'll back.
All right.
Second.
All right. So who made the first motion?
I did.
Thank you, sorry. I'm like, you all motioned and I couldn't, so I want to make sure. Moved by Councilmember Chambliss, second by Councilmember Osmond. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. And motion carries. If I don't do that, Jenna will ask me so, and I won't know, so. All right, so thank you. All right, on to our final business item. It's business item 2025-136, which is master contracts for electronic technology-based project design services. We have Julie Brenny here.
Madam Chair and committee members, I am Julie Brenny. I'm a senior project administrator in Metro Transit Engineering and Facilities. I'm here to present business item number 2025-136 for master contracts for electronic technology-based projects design services, contract 24P277. This particular group of contracts will replace existing contracts we have which expired last fall. We make all of our master contracts available to other groups other than engineering and facilities. And this particular group of contracts will be used fairly heavily by the Bus Operations Administration Group for technology needs they have on the buses. And the engineering services of this group of contracts are for things such as the pylons that you see out on the BRT lines, all the technology in those, TSP, transit signal priority, fiber connections, transit advantages, and the variable messaging signs that are out in the system. So it's very specific technology type of work. This was a competitive procurement. It was a Brooks Act procurement. We received a group of proposals. They were reviewed by an evaluation panel, and a recommendation was made by that panel for the proposers that were most advantageous to the council. We then received cost proposals that were reviewed against our independent cost estimate to determine that those were fair and reasonable. The firms assembled teams with very specific skills that fit this type of procurement, and that's how they were selected. The Office of Equal Opportunity included a 14% DBE goal on this particular procurement. And the proposed action is that the Metropolitan Council authorize the regional administrator to negotiate and execute contracts 24P277A to 24P277E for electronic technology-based projects design services that will support Metro Transit engineering and facilities in an amount not to exceed $1.5 million. And with that, I can answer any questions.
Very good, thank you. Questions or comments? All right, seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve business item 2025-136. Moved by Councilmember Osmond, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Tony Carter. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's the end of our business for this evening. If there are no objections, obviously the budget amendment will be non-consent to the council, and the same week item is also non-consent, but I would propose that all the others can go on the consent agenda. Okay. Good. All right, now we're on to our information items. We have two info items tonight. The first is the 2050 TPP amendment released for public comment. Relates to the Blue Line extension and Gold Line extension. We have Bradley Bobbitt and Nick Thompson here.
Madam Chair, I'm just going to introduce Bradley. Hey, I'm Cole Hineker. I'm Multimodal Planning Senior Manager at MTS, and this is Bradley's first time in front of your committee, which is not to say that he's new. He's been here about 2.5 years. Actually started at the Department in Highway Planning, believe it or not. We do have planners that can cross those boundaries. But he's now our lead lead transit planner, and he came from WashDOT in Washington State, worked at the City of Rochester in their planning for transit system, and he was actually instrumental in developing the transit content for the 2050 Transportation Policy Plan. So very qualified to do the work, is doing a great job. This is a big first presentation for you all, so be easy on him. But this is also one of our first amendments, or I should say the first amendment for the 2050 Transportation Policy Plan. So it's a really big project. We're just here today to introduce it to you all and answer any questions. So with that, I'll turn it over to Bradley, and he's also supported by Nick Thompson, who you all know, in case there's any questions about the project. So thank you.
Thanks, Cole, and thank you. We're not scary. You know me from lots of meetings. It's fine.
Yeah, thank you, Cole. Hi, everyone. I'm Bradley. Nice to meet you all in person. So yeah, we'll be covering the first proposed amendment to the 2050 TPP. We'll go a bit over the overall scope, just a little bit of information about Blue Line and Gold Line extension. You're all, I'm sure, largely familiar with these projects, but we'll just cover some information about local support, some information on effects on the TPP, particularly focusing on finance, and then finally the schedule to expect going forward for this amendment process. So as far as the scope of what's actually included within the amendment, we have Blue Line extension, which what's actually being amended in is the changes to the route and station locations from our most recent process with municipal consent. So the plan already had Blue Line extension in there, but it was the old route. And this would also involve removing the West Broadway Modern Streetcar project from our list of projects based on a request from Hennepin County and the City of Minneapolis, given the new alignment, if it was adopted into the plan. For Gold Line extension, we would be adding in Gold Line extension whole cloth as a new project into the fiscally constrained plan. And then we would also be showing the current Gold Line as existing in our maps and other documents in the plan to reflect that line is in operation. We do have criteria articulated in the TPP from our Transitway Advancement Policy of what we consider when we're looking at projects to amend or add into the plan for transitways, so including type or mode, alignment, so where the route actually is, and the station locations. You'll often hear this referred to as locally preferred alternative. The selection process, so what criteria did we consider? How did we get the decision that we arrived at? We document our public engagement efforts as well as themes of the feedback we received. Resolutions of support are required from affected agencies, so cities, counties, and MnDOT, depending on the circumstances of the project. And then finally, fiscal constraint, which is documenting enough financial information to ensure that we can implement the project with anticipated revenues. So basically, how much do we expect it to cost, what are our revenue sources, and where do we expect those revenues to come from?
I'll touch briefly on the two projects. So Blue Line extension, which is within the TPP currently. We have the new route that was approved last year. Basically, the northern third of this project remains the same as what is in the current TPP, but it's the southern two-thirds of this which changed route as we had to move away from the BNSF railroad corridor. So when it'll connect the cities of Minneapolis, Robbinsdale, Crystal, Brooklyn Park, all within Hennepin County. And it's obviously an extension of our existing Blue Line, so the connection point is near the Target Field Station in downtown Minneapolis. Once completed, you'd have a single-seat ride from Brooklyn Park all the way to MSP Airport and Mall of America. A lot of this project is also focused on building community prosperity within the corridor. It's our first project that has explicit anti-displacement strategies and mitigation tied to the project for before, during, and after construction. We are in the final design phase with 60% plans being submitted to the cities this year. We anticipate construction starting as soon as 2027. From a local support standpoint, last fall, we received municipal consent or local support from each of the 4 cities and Hennepin County. That process was completed in October of 2024 for the alignment that you see with in the TPP amendment. Gold Line extension, this is the Gold Line itself opened on March 22nd of this year. And so our plan would be to replace the existing Route 94 on the 94 corridor upgrade the station that exists for Route 94 at Snelling Avenue. And then in downtown Minneapolis, we'll be adding a station near the US Bank Stadium, and then using the existing C and D line stations in downtown Minneapolis, with the western terminal being the farmers market station of the new Green Line extension, so near the Haywood building. This is the capital cost for this is all within our existing budget. We'll be replacing existing Route 94 buses and upgrading those two stations. We're estimating costs around $25 million. And the annual operating costs includes the operating cost for Route 94 now. And this is just for the Gold Line extension segment, not the entire Gold Line once it opens. This has went through a separate public process. We have received local support now from Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Hennepin County. Tomorrow, Ramsey County Regional Rail, it's on their agenda to pass their resolution of support. Washington County is supporting, not required, but they, as a major funder of Gold Line, have said they would like to support this project also. And then MnDOT is providing a letter of support.
All right. So I will cover some of the high-level effects on the plan itself from incorporating these changes, largely focusing on the financial aspect. So for Blue Line extension, we're estimating a net change in capital costs of around $1.7 billion compared to the current plan. The sources for these costs in terms of revenues on our side would be anticipated from federal sources, particularly the capital investment grant, New Starts. And then the other portion is anticipated to come from Hennepin County participation as the local funding partner. For operations, compared to the current plan, we're expecting an increase of about $329 million over the life of the whole 2050 TPP. So that's from when the service starts out to 2050. This would be, we expect this to be covered through additional fares and then unallocated sales and use tax, which is the regional sales and use tax.
Madam Chair, do you want us to hold questions till the end, or?
You could, Councilmember Johnson, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Just briefly, and on Blue Line extension, increasing $1.7 billion, and that brings it to, is that what brings it to the $3.2 billion that we've been currently talking about? Or I think it's $3.2 billion total.
Madam Chair, Councilwoman, yes, the current TPP has a 1.5 allocated to it billion for the old alignment,
Right,
so
right.
it's adding to get it to the new reflected cost.
Thank you. And Madam Chair, it's my understanding too that we're going to have to provide an update, I believe, to FTA on the increased cost estimates for this project. And when would that be in this process?
Madam Chair, council members, we will be presenting to Committee of the Whole in the first meeting in August. And then Hennepin County will be taking board action for their local support that week and presenting to the CMC. We'll provide the cost and schedule update. We haven't, the cost may remain the same. We don't have the cost estimate yet, but we will be releasing it the first week of August. And that's during the public comment period of the TPP amendment also.
Thank you. And Madam Chair, just to be clear, so you'll be working on that until that August timeline, which then you will have that increased, or I'm assuming it's an increased cost, right? Shouldn't assume anything, but where else would it go? So that new number, at least as of the information we have right now, would be.
Yeah, Madam Chair, council members, that new number is reflective of the further design work we've done and the changes since municipal consent. We added a new station over the original budget and significantly changed the Lowry Avenue station. And obviously we have updated risks and impacts as the design advanced. So yes, we're doing that in early August because on August 23rd, we submit the project to FTA for an official rating. And at that point, we do need the budget locked in because that'll be the basis of requesting federal funds, so.
Sure. And Madam Chair, just finally, and that obviously just takes into it factors in, just the economy and things that are happening to supplies and materials and things like that.
Madam Chair, Councilmember, correct. The update will have the most current pricing information that we are aware of through June of this year, and then also have a significant risk discussion and allocation, which affects risk. Part of the risk is a look at the economic impacts, things like tariffs and other things, and what the probability of those would be. So they'll be updated within the risk profile. So the budget includes a contingency for risks.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Turn it back to you, Ms.
Thank you very much, Chair. Moving on to the Gold Line extension, as Nick already mentioned, since the capital costs will be covered through existing Metro Transit funding sources, we expect no net capital cost change compared to the current TPP. And then for operations cost increase, we expect roughly $128 million, again, over the whole life of the 2050 TPP. So from first starting operation out to 2050. That is roughly reflecting the increase in frequency from the current Route 94, which is included in the plan. So this is a net change from what the current Route 94 does. Again, sources for funding these anticipated cost increase would be additional fare revenue and then unallocated sales and use tax from the regional sales and use tax. Other elements that are affected in the plan, we reconducted equity and environmental justice impacts, looking at the distribution of service throughout the region. We also reran our modeling that we do for the TPP, comparing what's called the no-build scenario, so without any of the improvements included in the plan, and then the build scenario, so now including these changes to the plan, so the changes to Blue Line extension and now Gold Line extension. There will be some updates to maps, as I mentioned before, showing Gold Line extension and then Blue Line extension in their new forms, as well as current Gold Line on those maps. And then these two projects will be either edited or added into the long-range capital projects list appendix. On the equity and environmental justice impacts and the performance outcomes, we generally see positive impacts from these projects. Since we rerun the whole no-build scenario, what we can generally say is that we saw positive impacts before from the build scenario with the current plan in 2050 TPP, and we continue to see those positive changes from incorporating these new projects into the plan's modeling.
Question?
Yeah. Councilmember Chambliss.
Thank you. So for the transit ways investment maps of, like, for example, the existing Blue Line, existing Green Line, how do we when would we get access to that mapping and that dollar information, and where would we find it?
Chair, Councilmember, thank you for the question. Just to clarify, you're looking for a map with the updated version of Blue Line extension and Gold Line extension?
Can you clarify what you mean by what would be contained in the transit investments map?
Chair, Councilmember, thank you. Yeah, so currently, for example, our Transit Ways Investments map shows our current routes and then our planned routes that are in the fiscally constrained plan. So ABRT routes, Purple Line is in there. So this would add in Gold Line extension into that map shown as a planned investment, and then Blue Line extension would be slightly modified. As far as when they're available, they're contained in our draft amendment, so that's available through that right now. In terms of when it would be available online, that would be after this is all adopted into the plan.
Okay, thank you.
All right, additional questions, comments? All right, do you have more?
Oh,
one more
yeah.
slide?
Thank
Okay.
you, yeah.
Make sure.
Thanks. So one last slide here on the process. We've been doing information items like this one in committees for TAB, Transportation Advisory Board. This is our last info item, and we've already started the process for action items for release for public comment. And then we will be coming back to this committee for that action later in June is the current plan. And then we'll have our public comment period, assuming it gets released in July and August, and then a final adoption process in September and October.
Very good. Thank you. Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you. Appreciate this timeline. And so I have a question, under our new Transit Way Advancement Policy, actually, it's probably not that new anymore. It's coming up on 3 years old, I think. Great policy, by the way. We have, obviously Gold Line, we've got the money ready to go, but we know that we don't have, and by we, generally the region, doesn't have, the money identified yet for the Blue Line extension, although they're asked to the federal government, and certainly Hennepin County as a local partner is engaged, and who knows what the legislature will do. So have we advanced a plan in our transportation policy plan without having that question answered, given we've got an advancement policy that really says we have to know where that money is coming from before we can make a major move. So I'm just trying to figure, is this a major move, or how do we, on the back end of moving it into the plan, ensure that that funding is there for the project?
Madam Chair, council member, so the way we thought about that question here for Blue Line Extension is that the assumption we make for when a project enters the TPP, we do assume a federal share well in advance of when we ask, usually well in advance of when we ask for federal share. The 51% local, 49% federal is the anticipated ask for federal share on this, which would be the normal process we would assign for the TPP. We don't, of course, know exactly what federal amount will be provided to the project, but that's the request. And so this is following that, I'd say, in alignment with other projects on the policy. Now, the operating and the capital maintenance portion of the Blue Line Extension is the Met Council's responsibility. And we have modeled out that we do have sufficient funds for that over the life of the TPP based on our forecasted assumptions for what the operating and capital maintenance costs would be, and also how all our forecasted funding is allocated through our projects and our responsibilities. So it's our belief that we're in alignment with that policy. What's unique here is that we're entering into the TPP by amendment very close to the time we're actually trying to figure out the federal funding. Usually these actions are separated by years. When the original Blue Line alignment was entered into the original TPP, we were probably nowhere near asking for federal funds at that time. So it's a little bit unique in that sense. In terms of a schedule, we anticipate to be asking for federal funds at the 51-49% share in the next year, and hope to have an answer should we follow a normal process next year about that, of what the federal commitment would be on the project.
Thank you. Madam Chair, just one clarification. Or I'll defer to you, Madam Chair.
Yeah, if I might, just a little bit. The TPP amendment is highly administrative in the sense that it's really bringing the TPP in alignment with what we're actually doing right now. We just have the right information. There was not good points in time prior to this to have the full route and the dollar amounts, even though those could change and lead to another amendment. But we just didn't have those pieces ready. So otherwise it would have been in the release of the TPP update that we just approved. And so that part of it is to me, it's an administrative cycle. There's another piece of it, and Nick can correct me if I get anything wrong. We've got the work that we're doing for the next steps with the project, which is somewhat different from this. Typically, we have done the assumption of the federal money. We know that's a big question, but there are other project actions that, if that doesn't happen, there are actions when we revisit the capital grant agreement with the county, right? And even when it will come to us, likely before we're doing any work of purchasing right-of-way and things like that. So there will be a chance for the project, and whether the project advances using the Transit Way Advancement Policy, by which this council will be able to discuss and make a decision as to whether to proceed. Pretty close?
Correct.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That answered probably one of my questions for sure. So then, just for clarity, so Nick, when you said we are asking the FTA, we mean the project office?
Madam Chair, Councilmember, we're the responsible, Met Council is the developer of the project in the FTA's eyes. And so Met Council will be submitting that request. Obviously, Hennepin County is the local funding partner. We would not move forward without, they are required to have a letter, resolution of support for their part too, so.
Okay. And Madam Chair, thank you for the clarification kind of on the procedure part of it, because for me, first time on transportation, thank you very much for tracking as much as I can all these years. And I understand it. And I just think that, we are living in extraordinary times, my opinion. And so, what we might have thought, back in the day regarding FDA participation, maybe will be great and it'll all come through. But I think with that fiscal constraint, that's going to be a big deal, certainly, that we have to keep an eye on. And so I had mentioned, I think that it could take them months or a year or more to determine that. So how far do we go then in this process? Because I believe we're still accepting Hennepin County grant funding to keep this project going. It's not Met Council money from what I understand. We keep advancing money. So is that just kind of the scenario that I know we're only going till October here for this piece of it, but maybe in the next 12 months to 18 months, are we just at least doing the things that we can until we can hear from FDA, or where does that fiscal constraint moment happen?
Madam Chair, council members, so first I'll clarify, yes, the Hennepin County is the full funder of the project at this point, that we're operating under that. The Met Council has no funding in this project until we get near operations revenue service. We can look at past projects as examples. That's the best we can do. We are monitoring at the national. This is a part of a national competitive program, so we're seeing what other properties are doing related to current administration. But we have received federal funds on projects at various times after we've applied for them. Sometimes I think our longest it's taken maybe 18 months for Green Line extension from application till receipt. And Gold Line is our most recent example where we received federal funds 9 months after we started construction. So there's a wide variation there, and it's not administration dependent. But at some point, a project of this size, the local funder may say we can't go into construction until we have a certainty about federal funding. We'll have to work with Hennepin County about that. So there's major milestones of where costs begin to increase, and you want to make deliberate decisions before you enter those milestones.
And thank you. And so thank you for that. That helps clarify. And so what I heard you say is the local funder then will kind of make that call as to when they feel like they can proceed or not, and that would be Hennepin County's call because they're the local funder.
Madam Chair, Hennepin County is the local funder. We have on this project the project decision board also that we've granted some of the decision to, they make actions to move forward. And Met Council has membership on the project decision board. In the bylaws of that, they have to authorize advancing a procurement, for example. And so we will be partners in some of those decisions. But as the local funder, they have major decisions to make and when to progress projects. And that's very normal on these big projects. Our local funders have sometimes told us to slow down. Sometimes they've been comfortable advancing a project. So there's a collective decision that has to be made at major milestones. As part of our August Committee of the Whole, we're going to not just give you a budget schedule update, we're going to do a comprehensive project update. We can cover some of these particularly related to our Transway advancement policy and other milestones that are coming up over the next year. There's quite a few actions queued up to come through the council and the county that would advance the project or a decision point. So we can provide updates on all of those also.
And perhaps as part of that, make sure to include sort of the flow of, like we just went through the environmental, we get the record of decision, and I've been through all of this, not all of you have yet. And so to understand sort of where some of those pinch points are, I think that would be helpful. Yep. And a couple of clarifications. The TPP is required, mandated to be fiscally constrained. So should that change, then we have to change what's in the plan. Also, want to make very clear that, and Nick did state this, that Met Council money itself does not get involved until it gets to operations and capital maintenance. There's state laws preventing us from spending any of our other money for capital on this project.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That was actually a clarification I was looking for. And I do appreciate the project decision board, but to my question, I think that's less important than just, again, Hennepin County's got to, as the local funder, has to figure this out. So they've got a lot riding on this, no pun intended. And yet Met Council's not putting the capital money into it. So, but we're partners in this, and I'm just going to be looking to that Transitway Advancement Policy, and thank you for really helping us understand this timeline and those pinch points along the way. And I think the reason it's important for us to do all of these things and be as transparent, I think that was one of the words in our slides today, is because it's so complicated for people in the public to understand how these long, complicated projects, especially with different life forms over decades, quite frankly, come together. And there's a lot of just misunderstanding about it all out there. And God bless them all, especially they're all at the legislature working, but legislators have a hard time funding it. Yes, no, that was a misspeak there, but understanding, you know, and so, you know, I just get a lot of questions and there's just a lot of confusion out there. So I appreciate being as clear as we can at every step of the way, getting it out there and even helping the media unravel it a little bit because they don't always get it right either. And just want to make sure that people understand what we're doing because it's a big project. It's an important part of our region, and want to make sure everybody knows where Met Council's authority lies when we are going to be applying that Transitway Advancement Policy, which we are applying it along the way, but there will be inflection points that we'll be definitely taking a look at. And, you know, for Hennepin County, depending on what the feds do, they will ultimately have to make that call. But I just, as partners, want to, you know, have some understanding of how long we could be kind of in that gray zone and not know where that local money, you know, where the funding is in total is coming from. That's just me opining a bit because I like to know where I'm going, and I'm not sure where we're going completely in this, but we'll get there.
I'll just say there is some gray zones up ahead of us, and there are some decisions also. So, and one of the next big times when the advancement piece will come in front of us will be once that record of decision is issued, right-of-way can start being purchased. And that is a very big step in a project, and so that is something that has to get approved by the council.
And Madam Chair,
Yeah,
Councilmember, when you talk about long projects, I think you can, by the time we open this project, it will be 50 years from the origin of what this project was. So there's a long time in these projects.
Councilmember Chambliss.
Yeah, I think it's good to have fresh faces and fresh questions. So thanks, Judy, for those questions. The Corridor Management Committee is briefed on a lot of the questions that you have asked as well. And a timeline is provided to the Corridor Management Committee of all the councils that gave all the representatives that gave the municipal consent, as well as community members, park board members, mayors, and such. So if we could get a copy, I think that might be helpful, of the timeline that has been provided to that Corridor Management Committee. That will be very helpful, I think.
Thank you.
Yeah, Madam Chair, we'll provide that, yep. And that'll be part of our August update too.
All right, any more questions, comments? Councilmember Osmond is like, okay, what all are we doing? Welcome to the committee.
Oh, thank you.
It's very complicated.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to comment saying this is a great project, and given the current climate in DC, we all think across it, so we'll see maybe next 6-9 months we'll have a fun. Thank you for the information.
Yeah, and if you want more background information on this or the transportation policy plan, I am sure anyone's more than happy to sit down and talk through some of it. It's a lot to learn as you come on the committee here, so, and we're very, I know myself, I was drinking from a fire hose from way back in the day. Any additional questions, comments? All right, thank you, guys. All right, now we're on to our final info item. It's the June FTA semi-annual report. We have Trina Bolton and Ashanti Payne here. Welcome.
Thank you.
Good evening, Chair Barber, Council and Committee members. Ashanti Payne, Assistant Director, Office of Equity and Equal Opportunity. And I am here today with Trina Bolton, who is a lead specialist in our small business unit and is the individual that compiles this information and administers our DBE program with FTA. Before we dig into the first half of the FTA semi-annual report. I wanted to take us back just about 20, 30 minutes to the two TransLink business items and address Councilmember Osman's question. I just wanted to convey that both the Dakota, Washington, and Scott Carver Transit Link DB commitments exceeded the 2% goal, 3.77 and 2.11 respectively. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Trina to present our first half June 2025 FTA semi-annual report.
Thank you, Ashanti. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and committee members. So this is a disadvantaged business enterprise. It's utilized for federal funds. It's for construction, architectural, and engineering, and professional technical contracts. The annual goal gets set every 3 years. So it's currently from 2024 to 2026, and it's 13.4%. The project-specific goals are set by our small business unit team, and the report utilization is submitted semi-annually. So this is the June report. It's from October 1st to March 31st, and then there'll be a December report in the future. The achievement is against the annual goal, and it's based on awarded contracts. So this is the DBE utilization by award. So there was $26.5 million awarded in prime contracts, $3 million to DBE primes, $10 million in subcontracted awards, and then $7.1 million to DBE firms in total. We achieved 26.9% participation, which is outstanding for us. The past two June reports, 2023 and 2024, we only had 6.5% and 9.6%. So we had big shortfalls. And then in the past, that was due to the fair collections projects that we had going on with no DBE participation. And then this time we had some large contracts, but they all had DBE participation, which really helped us move the number forward this time. This is DBE awarded contracts by gender and ethnicity. And some of the big awards was Asian Pacific American for $2.3 million. Hispanic American had $2.1 million, and then non-minority females had $1.7 million. And in the past and currently, we've had a more even disbursement of dollars to the different ethnicity groups. So that's been a big improvement in the last couple of years. And then this is just a distribution of the ethnicity and location of where the DBEs are located throughout the region or where they come from, either interstate or throughout Minnesota. The Black Americans had 10 contracts, and then another big group was the non-minority white female group. Some of the major contracts awarded was the Metro G Line, engineering and construction for $9.5 million. The DBE commitment was 24%. The MVTA BBG modernization subrecipient contract had $8.7 million for 15.9% DBE commitment. The hoist replacement was $2.2 million. The DBE commitment was 16.14. And then the Metro H Line planning and support had $1.2 million for a 23% DBE commitment.
Councilmember Carter.
I am sorry. I have a block. Can you please look with me at the last slide where we're looking at Metro, Greater Minnesota, and Interstate, and the number of firms? Was that the number of firms who requested to participate? There were 10 contracts, for example, in that first line, but 507 total firms. Can you explain that to me, please?
Yeah, so the 10 contracts were the awarded ones this reporting period. The 507 are the total available in the DBE directory.
Oh, got it. Thank you.
Yep. Okay. Just some of the success stories. There were 3 DBE firms awarded as primes. 5 contracts were awarded to Hispanic American firms, again for $2.1 million. 4 contracts were awarded to Asian Pacific American firms for 2.3, and then 10 contracts were awarded to Black American firms. Some of our pathways to success is the Mentor Protege program. We currently have 3 firms in that program. For larger projects, we have project meet and greets. And then with the Thrive Equity Funds, we have Project Solutions, which is providing training for the MCUBs and all the DBEs, just on how to estimate and bid, how to respond to RFPs, managing contract changes, and then construction, safety, and training. So that keeps going quarterly, and we've had great attendance to that. We've been doing OEO engagement and divisional trainings with project managers and different folks from our team, doing SIM and goal setting training, and then a training now with the new federal regulations, just so everyone's on the same page as to what's going on. And then finally, we have a data teams meeting, and we're just looking for better ways for technology and how to improve our prompt payment. And the last couple notes I'll leave to Ashanti.
Thank you, Trina. I just wanted to update this committee on some of the work that is ongoing and forthcoming relative to our small business programs. We now have some data and information from both a small business equity assessment that was conducted by a third party, and then also later this month, at the end of the month, the state disparity study will be made public. And we have information and recommendations from that study as well. With that, we have put together a list of 5 key priorities that we believe should be our focus and will move us forward in the right direction, part of which includes the small business spend plan policy and the recommendations that we have put forth from the studies and information that we've gathered over this time. So looking forward to coming back and sharing some of that information with the council and updating on progress as well.
Any questions?
All right, questions, comments? Councilmember Johnson?
I just want to thank both of you. Some of us are lucky enough to serve on the management committee, so it's not all new to us, although these updates are always good, and I really appreciate your hard work. And I know there are some changes coming as far as helping throughout the council, not just in transportation, but throughout the council, people to have, I think, more tools or the ability to make the decisions that we want them to make. But I know that sometimes it's, pushing a rock uphill, trying to make change, but transportation is kind of always the one that has just really been the workhorse when it comes to being able to meet the DBEs, but we've got other spend that I think is working as well. And I just want to express thanks to procurement and everybody at the council that's working on this and in management, just making sure you have the support and the staff that you need to do this work, because we're a big organization and that there's a lot of people making decisions from P cards all the way up on how spend takes place at the council. So I just want to share my thanks as a transportation committee member, and thank you for this report.
Thank you.
All right, additional questions? Councilmember Chavez?
I'll just say ditto. Thanks so much for all the work
Thank
that
you.
you're doing, and also with the other departments and divisions that you're working with.
Perfect. If there's no other questions, comments, Councilmember Osman?
I just want to comment to say thank you for the clarification earlier about the target number. And also, I don't know if you have a time right now, but with the federal change in regulation for the DBE, how will it affect us, how we plan next, I don't know, couple of years from now?
Chair Barber, Councilmember Osman. The short answer is we don't know. There are some things going on. I can tell you what we do know. What we know is there was in 2023, 2024, there was a lawsuit filed It's referred to as the Mid-America Milling versus USDOT case. There was an injunction that was filed which prohibited initially the states of Kentucky and Indiana from setting DBE goals on projects that the two subcontractors were interested in. That was later expanded to other states that did include the great state of Minnesota. And there have been some impacts relative to some of our partner agencies in the region. MnDOT has had to amend a couple of their projects and release them, two of their projects with a zero DBE goal. Also, just close to us, Illinois DOT as well has had to do the same thing. Since that initial ruling, USDOT originally was defending the program. They have recently, as I was making this presentation to Management Committee last Wednesday, USDOT reversed and said, and so they're not going to defend the DB program. There has been a group of lawyers and advocacy groups that have requested to step in since USDOT is not going to defend the program. I believe they have until June 18th to submit their arguments for the judge. So we're waiting on that and a final decision from the judge. And then even after the final decision, whatever that is, there's still a lot of uncertainty of what that could mean. So all of that to say, we don't know. But we are paying close attention and monitoring the landscape, both the legal landscape and political landscape. And I want to just assure you that we are not just sitting back waiting. We do not want to be caught flat-footed. So we have been working with partner agencies in the region, such as MnDOT, Department of Administration, City of Minneapolis, Hennepin County, Ramsey County, and others in terms of how we pivot and what kind of small business program measures we can implement both on the local and federal level.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Well, thank you for monitoring all the federal stuff. We know it's very complicated. I think as an organization, all of us are still very committed to the principles of what we're doing and why we're doing it for many, many reasons. And it's also just, want to echo some of the congratulations on the good numbers, but I think one of the key things is the 3 prime contracts. I mean, that is, to me, it's a big deal. It's not looking at just subcontractors, but, that's where I think we really start changing things when it becomes the primes, and it's really nice to see. So well done.
And Madam Chair, if I may, I just want to say again, for everybody in procurement who's going through all of this and looking at all the bids, these are highly qualified firms, all of them. They are earning this because they deserve it, because they're good at what they do. And I'm just going to let that stand right there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Those are good closing words. So, all right, anything else, everyone? If not, we can be adjourned. Thank you.